Get him spinning that wheel. We're good? Right, it is 6 o'clock. We do have quorum. Going to go ahead and call this evening's meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals for the City of Florence to order. First items on this evening's agenda is approval of the minutes from the May 22nd, 2025 meeting. Minutes were submitted to members of the board in ample time to review. Are there any changes to those minutes? There being none, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion that, someone.
All those,
Second.
all right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. The minutes are approved. First item on this, second item, on this evening's agenda is BZA hearing number 2025-08, request for variance from the street side setback for a storage building on a commercial parcel. Location is Stefano's Restaurant at 2600 South Irby Street. Tax map number 00151-01-092. Owner of record is Florence SCNG LLC. Applicant is Stephen Toniolo with Stefano's Restaurant. The zoning district is commercial general. The board will now hear from city staff.
Good evening. This is part of the shopping center located at the corner of South Irby Street and Freedom Boulevard, specifically addressing the Stefano's Restaurant, and it is zoned commercial general, as is most of things around it. The Stefano's is in the unit on the very end, the southernmost end of the building, and the request is to put an accessory storage building right behind their unit of the shopping center. But our code requires that in a commercial district such as this one, that storage buildings over 120 square feet must be located behind the principal building, which it would be, but it also requires it be at least 150 feet from the street right of way. And because of their location on the end closest to Freedom Boulevard, they cannot meet that distance. And then it would also require they be completely screened from view from adjacent properties and public rights of way by buildings, fences, walls, or hedges. And again, that would be very difficult to do based on where they are. This is the elevation of the proposed storage building, and then the green square is where they would like to locate it. It would be about 86 feet from the side property line, and if this was a principal building all by itself, it would only need to be 20 feet from that side property line. So they're still 66 feet further than they would be if it was a regular building. There are a number of other storage buildings back there. I'm not sure if they're with Stefano's or with other tenants in that parking space. But as you can see, they'll be directly behind the building and would only be visible from Freedom Boulevard as you are headed west. These are some site photos. The upper left corner would be the view from the parking lot. Most customers would not see it at all. And then the remaining pictures are of that rear area where they want to locate the storage building. So the issues to be considered, requiring adherence to the 150-foot setback requirement would prevent them from being able to locate the building in that location. And part of the reason is for proximity to their back door of their restaurant, as well as being able to keep an eye on it to prevent vandalism. The spirit would or would not be observed. I don't know what just happened, but I've got backup. The restrictions on accessory buildings are in place to prevent overcrowding of commercial properties and to improve the view from city streets, and that does not appear to be the situation here. The affected units of the shopping center are on the side of the building closest to the public right-of-way, and placing the storage building elsewhere on the lot would not be close enough to help the business it's meant to serve, and that these conditions do or do not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity. That immediate area is commercial in character with varying lot sizes and setbacks. Oh, Derek is, okay. If you look at the map, you can see that there are apartments to the east of it, but there is a thick wooded area between this back area and those apartments. So they would not be directly affected at all. And adhering to the ordinance would result in the inability of the owner to place that storage building in the most convenient and observable location. And then its impact on South Irby Street would be negligible, and while visible from Freedom Boulevard, it would be within the building envelope and not immediately apparent from the public right-of-way. And also, while it be constructed as a permanent fixture, it is removable as a storage structure if necessary in the future, or if Stefano's moves to a different location, it can be removed. So that concludes staff's report.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions for city staff from members of the board? All right, thank you very much. The board will now hear from the applicant. Is Steve Toniolo here? Oh, do you mind, sir, please step up to the microphone? I'm going to swear you in. And I am pronouncing your last name correctly, Toniolo?
Yes.
Okay. You promise that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth?
Yes.
All right, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I mean, Elaine pretty much covered everything. There is a vacant space at the very end of the building. We have a verbal agreement in place to take on that space at the beginning of next year. Okay. So we'll be signing a lease. So we'll have the 4 closest units to Celebration. There is a smaller storage building already there that is kind of in poor condition that we plan to remove and replace with a larger building. Okay. So that's part of the reason for it. Okay. And the building will also be, we intend to have a similar color to the back of the shopping center to help it kind of blend in and everything. So
I got you. All right. Are there any questions for the applicant from members of the board?
I have a question now for city staff.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
When that smaller building is removed and they move their building over, would that put them in compliance?
No, the 150 feet was, to get to that 150 was almost to the inner corner of the, if you're looking at this picture, it was almost to the inner corner of the big middle square of the shopping center. So it wouldn't be anywhere near where they need it to be.
That's a large one. Okay.
Their units, they occupy this portion of the building, right?
correct.
All right. Are there any questions for the applicant from members of the board? All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Toniolo.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who wishes to be heard either for or against this variance request? All right. There being none, the chair will now entertain a motion to either approve or deny this variance request. The chair would like to make a motion that we approve this variance request based upon the following findings of fact. That a variance in the terms of the Unified Development Ordinance will not be contrary to the public interest where owing to a special condition, the little enforcement of the provisions will in an individual case result in unnecessary hardship. Requiring the adherence to the 150-foot setback will prevent the applicant from being able to locate the storage building in the desired location. That the spirit of the Unified Development Ordinance will be observed, public safety and welfare secured, and substantial justice done. The restrictions on accessory buildings are in place to prevent overcrowding of commercial properties and to improve the view from city streets. But this particular building will only be visible from Freedom Boulevard. That there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to this particular piece of property. The affected units of the shopping center are on the side of the building that is closest to the public right-of-way. Placing a storage building elsewhere on the lot will not be close enough to help the business it is meant to serve. That these conditions do not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity. The immediate area is commercial in character with varying lot sizes and setbacks, but because of the construction of the buildings in the back of the property, there is limited space to put the building. That because of these conditions, the applicant of the Unified Development Ordinance, the application of the UDO to this particular property would effectively prohibit or unnecessarily restrict the utilization of the property as follows. Adherence to the terms of the ordinance would result in the inability of the owner to place the storage building in the most convenient and observable location. And that authorization of a variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property or to the public good. And the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of this variance. Because a storage building is proposed to be behind the shopping center, its impact on South Derby Street would be non-existent. While it would be visible from Freedom Boulevard, it will be within the building envelope and not immediately apparent from the public right-of-way. And as was mentioned earlier, the proposed structure is considered to be a permanent building, but it is removable if necessitated in the future.
Second.
All right, we do have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. The variance request is approved. Mr. Toniolo, thank you very much. You and your little helper there are more than welcome to stay in this riveting meeting, but if you want to leave, you are free to do so. Thank you, guys. Next item on this evening's agenda is BZA hearing number 2025-09. Excuse me. Request for variance for the minimum setbacks required for a new single-family house. Location is 418 West Sumter Street, tax map number 90072-12-018. Owner of record is the Greater Florence Habitat for Humanity. Applicant is Travis Cooper. Zoning district is Neighborhood Conservation-6.2. The board will now hear from city staff.
All right, this concerns a 2,800 square foot parcel of lot of record on the southeast corner of Sumter and Sanborn Street. And this is, as I said, it's a very small parcel, but it is a legal parcel, and according to our ordinance, you can build on any legal parcel. The applicant, and it is zoned NC 6.2, which requires 25-foot front setbacks and 20-foot rear setbacks. But obviously, with a parcel that is only 62 feet deep, that's very difficult to get a house of any reasonable size on. So the applicants are requesting to be able to put a small house on here, but with a 15-foot front setback and about a 10-foot rear setback. They can meet the side setbacks without a problem. The average setbacks of other houses in the area range between about 10 to 20 feet. So this would not be out of character for the neighborhood. They just would have a much smaller backyard than everyone else. But from the street, from either side, it really would not affect the character of the neighborhood. These are some elevations of the proposed house. And as you can see, it's a single or two-story single family detached house. And these are some photos. The one on the top is the lot itself, and then the ones on the left or on the bottom are looking to the left and to the right. So you can see that then, especially like the one immediately on the left there really is only about 10 or 15 feet between the property line shown by the fence and the front of that house. So, and this one would be lined up pretty much with that one. So, enabling the construction of that house would result in a compact yard, but it's unusable if we went with the traditional setbacks. And the purpose of setbacks is to provide space around houses and distance between parcels. But again, the majority of houses are less than 15 feet from the front property line. and they are pretty close together, and most of the lots are smaller, although not as small as this one. There's a wide variety of lot sizes along here, but, and this one, again, is one of the smallest. And it's difficult to build a house within those setback limits, but that is what we would want there, would be a single-family detached house. And granting the variance won't be detrimental because it would allow a brand-new house to be placed on a vacant parcel. And as I said before, it does meet the interior side setback, and the street side has the 10 feet to the property line plus about 25-foot side yard to the edge of pavement. So the side along Sanborn Street would be you wouldn't even notice that it wouldn't be any closer than any of the other houses. So that concludes staff's report.
Thank you very much. Have we heard anything from neighbors on either side?
I've just had a couple of people call, and they were just concerned whether it was affecting their property line, and I just assured them, no, this
Okay.
only affects this one lot.
Okay, all right.
So that means no one didn't oppose.
No, once they found out it was just a single-family house on that parcel, nobody was against it.
Just to clarify, the single variance request is for both the front and back
That's correct.
setbacks. Okay, I got you.
And I guess technically you could say that one side is 9.7 feet.
Right.
It should be 10.
And would it sit on the corner of the front of the house would be considered on Sumter Street?
That's
not
correct. It'd be
Sanborn?
facing Sumter Street.
Now, what if the front of the house would have been on Sanborn? How would those setbacks?
It would be even less because the house is a little bit longer than it is wide.
Okay.
Are there any other questions for city staff from members of the board? All right, thank you very much. The board will now hear from the applicant. Is Travis Cooper available? All right, please, sir, just step up to the microphone. State your name clearly, and I'm going to swear you in.
Travis Cooper. I'm
Mr.
speaking
Cooper.
on behalf of Greater Florence Habitat for Humanity.
Okay. Mr. Cooper, do you promise that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, go ahead, sir.
Good evening, first off. Appreciate the consideration for the variance in front of the zoning appeals. I just have 3 points. Number one would be we'd appreciate their approval for the variance. Number one, because the city has donated the property to the Greater Florence Habitat for Humanity. Number two, also to piggyback on number one, is through the development grant that the city offers. And with the influx of developers in the area, we're limited on which properties we can select for our new builds. Number three, as Elaine said earlier, there are other properties with similar setbacks in the area. And one more point, I think it'll be a great addition to the Sumter Street area in the city of Florence.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Are there any questions for the applicant from members of the board?
And these are the homes that are given to those families that are,
Interest-free mortgage.
okay.
Was this lot a property before, or it's always just been a yard, or?
I don't have any facts. Maybe Elaine can check, but I do know there's water and sewer already on the property, so it had to be a previous home there before. I don't know the square footage. I don't know the previous setbacks, but I'm pretty sure from what we have in the area now with similar setbacks, it probably was pretty close.
Is that lot being used as something else right now, or it's just kind of just a patch of
It's
grass?
just a vacant lot. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I could just give a little bit of background on it, if that's
Yeah,
okay.
yes, sir.
I'm not sure if there was a home on it, but like Mr. Cooper said, I believe there was, because there's water and sewer availability there, or already meters there, or meter there for the water. But it is part of the inventory we built for our neighborhood revitalization program in the Northwest neighborhood. And as part of an agreement we have with Habitat for Humanity, it was gifted to Habitat to construct one of their homes on. So, and it is a small lot, I would agree, but it's also not a huge home that's being constructed there as well. So, but still takes up a lot of the lot.
Yeah.
I do have a question. My fault. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, for city staff. So, has the setbacks changed over time? Where-
Yes, yeah. Most of those houses were built, I think, in the 50s.
Okay, so that's why the setbacks is pretty much similar to what those were. Okay.
Yes.
But there's no variation of flood plains, anything in this
No,
area?
not in that location.
Earlier you mentioned that if they did do construction, that could be a tight spot. Would construction hinder or maybe make the neighborhood unsafe to be able to put something right there?
I mean, it's just a single-family house, which is what everything else in the area is.
I know but with the lot being small, I guess is my question. Just checking to make sure there's no safety issues or
no.
anything like that. No,
No, I
it shouldn't
wouldn't think
affect
so.
anything. Okay.
And, I mean, the smallest buildable new lot that you can make in certain zoning districts is 4,400 square feet. This one's about 2,850. So this is smaller than the smallest lot you could create a new one of. But, again, it's a legal lot of record, and the ordinance says that you can build on a legal lot of record.
All right, are there any other questions for the applicant from members of the board? All right, thank you, Mr. Cooper. Is there anybody else who wishes to be heard either for or against this variance request? All right, there being none, the chair will now entertain a motion to either approve or deny this variance request. Nobody wants to take the leap?
I want to make sure.
Team effort.
I got you.
The family is waiting.
Jesus be with me. I move that we grant the request for a variance based upon the following findings of fact. That a variance from the terms of the United Developed Ordinance will not be contrary to the public interest, where owing to special conditions, a literal enforcement of the provisions will, in this individual case, result in an unnecessary hardship, and that this was possibly a house prior to being built, and enabling the construction of this house with the smaller front and rear setbacks will result in a compact yard. However, enforcement of the 25-foot front and 20-foot rear setback requirements makes this lot unusable. However, it would help make the environment and neighborhood better. That the spirit of the Unified Development Ordinance will be observed, public safety and welfare secure, and substantial justice done, because the purpose of the setbacks is to provide space around houses and distance between parcels. The majority of the houses in this area are less than 15 feet on the front property lines, and the houses are very close together on small lots. that there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to this particular piece of property, namely that the lot is very small, which limits the size of the house that can be constructed there. That these conditions do not generally apply to other people in the vicinity, and that there is a wide variety of lot sizes along this portion of West Sumter Street. This lot is small compared to other lots in the immediate vicinity. However, most of the lots are a little smaller than most of the lots are smaller than the minimum setbacks. Thank you. That because of these conditions, the application of the Unified Development Ordinance to this particular property would not effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of this property as follows. Because of the small size of this lot, it is difficult to build a house within the setback limits required by the Unified Development Ordinance. That the authorization of a variance will not be of substantial detriment to an adjacent property or to the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by granting of the variance. Granting the variance will not be detrimental to the character of the district. It will enable the construction of a new house to infill a vacant parcel. Most existing houses within this block are 10 to 15 feet from the front property line. The proposal meets the interior side setback requirement, and the street side has a 25-foot side yard from the property line to the edge pavement on Sanborn Street.
Thank you very much, Mr. Valerie. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. The variance request is approved. Mr. Cooper, just as Mr. Toniolo, you are welcome to stay if you want a nap. Otherwise, glad to have you here. And please pass along the board's gratification to the Habitat for Humanity. Not Habitat. What is it?
That's right.
It was Habitat. Okay, it was Habitat. Okay. It's been a long time since I've seen a house being built by those guys. Next item on this evening's agenda is BZA hearing number 2025-10. Request for variances from the minimum lot and area and lot width required for new parcels. Location is 713 Malloy Street and 1012 Hawley Street. Tax map number 90115-14-006. Owner of record is Mary Ella Bug. The applicant is Herman Thomas. Zoning district is Neighborhood Conservation-6.2. The board will now hear from city staff.
All right, this is a little bit different. This is a parcel that is on the corner of Pauley Street and Malloy Street, and it contains two houses. So according to, when I spoke to the applicant, he said his parents built a smaller house back in the 1950s and then built the larger one facing Pauley Street in the 1970s or 80s. But they never subdivided the parcel. So there are two houses on a single lot. And he just wants to be able to divide it into two lots if necessary in the future, if he decides to sell off one of the houses, or if he sells the whole parcel and somebody else would want to do that, just get that out of the way. And the city is in favor of that because it does clean it up a little bit. Because these houses are zoned NC 6.2, the code says that if you're creating a new parcel, it has to be at least 6,000 square feet in area and 60 feet wide, and then with setbacks of 25 in the front, 5 on the sides, and 20 in the rear. However, because these are existing houses built, again, before the current setback requirements and area requirements, we looked at the parcel, and in order to meet as many of the setbacks as we could, we proposed, and he doesn't have a formal survey yet, we want to see what you all would say, but the proposal would be probably about where that red line would be, and that does provide 25 feet behind the house facing Pauley, so it would have the correct rear setback. And then it provides about 11 feet on the side of the house facing Malloy, and that leaves enough for the existing driveway. And that is more than the minimum required for a side setback, which is only 5 feet. So, but however, the total square footage leaves about 8,000 square feet for the Poly Street, so it's fine, it meets the 6,000 minimum, but it would leave about 4,400 square feet for the one on facing Malloy Street. And it also leaves it with a 55-foot frontage instead of the required 60. However, as I stated in the last case, the smallest new parcel you can make in the city is 4,400 square feet and 40 feet wide. So this one, if it was zoned R4 or NC4, would be a legal lot of record. So it's not as if we're creating another 2,800 square foot parcel. And this was pretty much the only way to subdivide this so that each house had the correct lot areas or setback areas. So that was what we decided to do. These are photos of them. The one on the upper left is the one facing the larger house facing Poly Street. The one on the upper right is the one facing Malloy Street. As you can see, it's got a little driveway there. And I think there already is a fence around the house on Poly Street along what would be a perceived property line anyway. So as a character standpoint, it would not change a single thing. So the applicant wants to carve out the new lot of record, and leaving the lot as it is doesn't prevent using it for 2 single-family residences, but it would be better just from a legal standpoint to have a distinct parcel for each house. And the intent of lot size minimum requirements is to ensure uniform lot sizes, but because these houses, were built more than 50 years ago, it's kind of a moot is. And putting the property line on a surveyor's map will not change the look or character of this neighborhood. So that concludes staff's report.
So we actually have 2 addresses on one lot.
That's correct.
Okay,
One's addressed off Malloy and
Right.
one is addressed off Poly's.
I got you. Any comments from the neighborhood?
I've just had a few people just curious. There appears to be a little bit of confusion over the property line on the north side, but as I told them, that has nothing to do with this request.
I got you. Okay. Any questions for city staff from members of the board?
So basically, y'all it's still 2 separate properties, just one parcel.
Right now, it's one parcel, and they want to turn it into 2.
Okay, so are they aware if we grant this variance, that means that's 2 separate texts, that's 2 separate everything? Was they made aware of everything?
They know that it gives them the option to do that. It doesn't, like, if you guys approve the variance, it doesn't mean that walking out of here, there's now 2. It just means that either the current owner or a future owner can bring us a summary plat by a surveyor, and if we would look at it, make sure that it does meet those minimum setbacks as agreed to by y'all. And because normally when somebody brings us a plat dividing a parcel like this, we have to make sure that the 2 new parcels would both meet the minimums for the area. And since there's already houses there, that would not be practical.
It'd be kind of like grandfather.
But they may never even use the variance. They may decide, I just want to keep both houses on one against that particular thing.
We'll get you in a second, sir. You're good, you're good. Yeah, I saw your hand go up. I got you. So essentially, the variance request is just for the total square footage,
Correct.
bringing it down. Okay, I got you.
Just putting the Malloy house on a smaller lot.
Got you. Okay. Are there any other questions for city staff from members of the board? No? Thank you very much.
I just thought
Oh,
of
go ahead,
something.
Ms.
I just
Smith.
thought of
I'm
something.
sorry.
They split the property, they wouldn't have to come back for a variance for that smaller
Well, that's what
house?
you're doing
Everything would
now.
be okay?
That's
Okay.
what this variance would cover.
All right, any other questions for city staff? All right, thank you very much. The board will now hear from the applicant, Mr. Herman Thomas. Nope. How about the owner of record, Mary Ella Bug? There being none, it's your turn, sir. Come on down. If you don't mind, sir, just walk up to the microphone and state your name clearly. Okay.
My house is on 52 on Pollard Street.
Okay.
My name is Mr. Thurman Brown. And,
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Okay. Do you promise that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth?
Yes.
All right. Go ahead, sir.
Yes. Well, my sister, she paid the tax. She got a letter. I don't know from who, from Mr. Herman, that some of his property, that she said before, that house was built 50 years ago. I'm not telling my age anyway. And I just want to find out how much is their property on my property. You know, and I heard, this is what I heard, a rumor, when they built it, his dad and my dad got together and said, okay, leave it, don't worry about it. But I don't know who did the survey, you know,
Right.
that put his property more on mine. That she said on Malloy Street, they do have two houses there. Matter of fact, my house on Malloy Street been there before Pollard Street.
Okay.
Because they came from, I think, Savannah Road, whatever, and they built, Mr. Herman built their house himself, the brick house on Pollard Street. Okay. Now, I don't know which way the property, probably go the lateral way, on like from Malloy to my backyard, and I don't know exactly how much footage is that.
Right.
So I'm just here to respond to a letter that my sister got. I don't know who wrote it. I don't know it came from the city. It came from him. I don't know who did the survey on the land. So I'm just requiring that. I know he got it for sale. I don't know who's the owner or do he still own it. So I'm just being like, you know, trying to find out what's going on in between. You know, with the city business, that has nothing to do with me. But I
Right.
seen the posters out there.
Yeah.
You know, that he wanted to divide it. He told me he wants to do that, and I thought he would be here
Yeah.
to get y'all ruling to find out what's going on. But since he's not, I guess he will find out.
Yeah. Well, looking at the picture, which house is yours?
Mine's on Pollard Street.
The one on the
Mine's
bottom?
on Pollard. Mine's right beside them.
What, like yours is on the bottom? Yours on the top?
Mine's is right here, 1008.
Oh, on the top. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
what we're here for today,
I
don't
know.
think that has anything.
No, it had nothing to do with it. I just thought he was here. It had
Yeah.
nothing to do with dividing. I got that
Right.
point.
Yeah.
But I thought he was come. I would talk to him about how the line would be drawn. I think I'm going to have to get maybe a survey myself. Because see where the red go here?
Yeah.
See, Malloy Street is good. I'm on like where the red, like again on Pollard Street, come down this way.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So I want to find out how far that line goes on that
Well,
end.
you think some of that part,
Well,
would
I
it affect the setbacks? Would that affect? Hold on, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Would that affect access? See where they say the line? If some of that property line is there, would that have anything to do with the setbacks that we're doing? Because we're not talking about setbacks on the side, are we?
Right.
Oh, okay, so yeah, okay.
yeah, I'm talking about right here. This line here. It goes further up here. That line's inside of my house.
Okay, well, we're not discussing that line.
Right. But we talking about the property itself.
Yeah.
If he tried to, you know, divide it up into
I
two,
got you.
it was some of that be on some of my property.
I got you.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, you know, how far did his property go on mine. He says something. It could be a hopscotch. I don't know what it could be. It's not that much back there anyway.
Right,
So
right.
I wanted just to talk to him and see how much it is. I might just like forget it, you know.
Yeah.
But since he wrote me a letter stating that something is on my property, that I know him and his dad, you know, old folks back there did their
Right,
horse
right.
trade. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So since he's selling it to another person, that may become an issue.
Yeah. It will.
That's why. That's why I'm here. So I thought
Now,
I
you
could
said
talk to him.
your house, excuse me, your house is on Pauley Street.
Yes, ma'am. 1008. Right
Okay.
there.
So your house is by the blue line. Okay.
Yeah, by the
Okay.
blue line coming down.
Okay.
And this is my Lord. My house is close. Well, most of the yard is really behind my Lord, behind this house here.
Behind, yeah.
Right. Most of
Yeah,
my yard is
large
behind that
backyard.
house
Right.
there.
I got you.
You see?
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, you know, I'm just I know they got nothing to do with it, but
Right.
my sister got a letter stating that
Yeah.
some of his property is on my property. And I don't know how, it probably is not that much, probably like maybe back from here, maybe to that chair. It's not
Yeah.
wide properties. I just wanted to talk to him,
Sure.
just to see what's going on and just to see that, maybe drop it. My sister done got me up in for nothing. For me, I'll let it go. I'm trying.
Yeah.
I've lived there for years. I know Miss Thomas now,
Sure,
great
sure.
people. I'm here trying to follow other people. Go down there and see what's up.
Right.
Like we got gold mine or something. But
Well, I wish I could help you out on that point, but really all we're going to do is we're going to decide whether or not
Right,
he can subdivide the property. Yeah.
Right.
But then after that,
I got to say, we here to draw, make sure that you're going to
Right,
say
right.
yes or no to him on property.
Sure.
I wish I can talk to him.
Right.
I had this number. I got to find this number for the neighbor.
yeah. Well,
To see where he's at.
He doesn't have anything to tell you right now because, as city staff was saying earlier, and correct me if I'm wrong, once we decide whether or not he can divide the property, then it's
Right.
going to be up to him to get a survey and then come back to the city with the actual
Okay.
surveys, and that'll determine where the property line actually is.
So in other words, he waiting on y'all to make a decision.
And then he has to get an accurate survey done by a surveyor and then bring that back up to the city.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In other words, this is the process for y'all to say nay or
Yeah,
yay.
yeah, this is step one.
Okay.
You're on step 5.
Yeah.
And I know you're
Step 10.
nervous. Yeah,
Really, I wouldn't be up here because they could be.
that's right. That's right.
Can I share
but
just a bit of advice too? Some of this may come to light during the surveying
Yeah,
process.
it will.
Right,
And
right,
come to
I
light.
got you.
And you might want to engage the gentleman that owns it
Right.
at that time. And
I got
also the courthouse has a lot of recorded documents, maybe some deeds, and or plats at the courthouse. If you did a little bit of research over at the Florence County Courthouse,
Like
you
these,
might
like
could-
what? How far the line go back?
that's right. There could be some descriptions of the property, or some plats in some case. Those don't always exist over there, but that's a good
What
place
would I
to
ask
start.
them to do? What? Do like a cert with like a what?
It-
Like a property
you
line
can do
drawing?
a lot of it online.
A property line drawing?
Yes, or you could go over to the courthouse if you know the tax map number, and they
Right,
could help
I
you
get
with
the
some of
tax
that.
map
I think
number.
there's a small fee involved for some of that, but you could go. You could
It
go
used to be
speak
free.
with them.
Okay, I did it before.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I thought he was here. I got to call him.
That's okay.
I'm gonna let y'all handle your business.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. We appreciate you. And I know how it is when grandparents decide to let grandkids handle something.
And other people trying to do.
I know.
Take care.
Is there anybody else who wishes to be heard either for or against this variance request? All right. There being none?
I have
Oh, go
a
ahead, go
question.
ahead.
I
I'm
have a
sorry.
question.
Go ahead.
I have a question. Do we need to hear from the owners of this property?
Not
just for
necessarily,
what we're
no.
doing? Because the house on Pauley Street is for sale. He already has it for sale.
And I did speak with a gentleman who I think is interested in purchasing it. And he, like I told him, until somebody, all this variance does is permit whoever owns the lot to have it subdivided if they want to. I told him it does not mean that walking out of here, there are suddenly 2 lots there. It just means that if either the old owner or the new owner decides they do want to subdivide it, like if somebody buys it and says, oh, I think I'm going to just sell that smaller house at 713, right now they couldn't. So this way, they would have to go through this whole procedure, but this way, this first step would be done for them. But it's not legally binding that they have to divide it.
And do we have it on record? And do we have it on record who's actually making this request, actually the owner of the properties?
Yes, Mr. Thomas.
The second house in question, is that a rental property now? Do we know?
I don't even know.
I didn't know if somebody,
Is
it's empty? I didn't know if somebody laid claim to owning that. So I don't know.
No, I mean, that is a point. If this is divided and then they wanted to tear down the old house and rebuild a house there, they would still need to come back for variances from, because then it would be this exact same situation
Right,
as the Sumter.
right.
It would be a legal lot of record if they had gotten it surveyed.
Sure.
But then they would need setbacks for the
Okay.
variance.
Okay.
So yeah, you're creating a small lot, but like I said, it's no smaller than the smallest legal lots
Right.
that you could create in the NC4 district.
And it's still already existing.
That's correct.
Right. All right. Are there any other questions from members of the board? All right. There being none, the chair will now entertain a motion to either approve or deny this variance request?
Okay, I try. I make motion to approve.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. That a variance from the terms of the Unified Development Ordinance would not be contrary to the public interest, but owing to special conditions and literal enforcement of provisions, would not in an individual case result in unnecessary hardship. The applicant desires to carve out a new lot of record for each existing house, leaving the lot as it does not prevent the use of it for two single-family residents, but it would be more accurate to provide a distant partial for each house. That the spirit of the Unified Development Ordinance will be observed, public safety and welfare secured, and substantial justice done. The intent of the lot size minimum requirement of any particular zoning district is to ensure uniformity of lot sizes throughout a neighborhood to prevent overcrowding. Granting of the variance will not result in development that is more dense than that of the immediate vicinity because the houses have been there for more than 50 years. That there are not extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to a particular piece of property, this lot has enough area to meet the minimum requirement for the district to be subdivided. But the existing houses, locations, and sizes in combination with current setback requirements makes it so difficult to do so. The existing houses were constructed prior to adoption of the zoning regulations. That these conditions do not generally apply to the property in the vicinity, the vast majority of lots of record in the area contain only one house. That because of these conditions, the application of the Unified Development Ordinance to the particular property would not effectively prohibit or unnecessarily restrict the utilization of the property as follows. Application of the lot size requirement to the request would result in the inability of the landowner to subdivide his parcel to provide a distinct lot of record for the single-family house facing Malloy Street. That the authorization of variance will not be a substantial detriment to adjacent property or to the public good, and that the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of this variance. Placing the proper line on a survey's map will not change the look or character of the neighborhood in the least since the two houses have been in place for over 50 years.
All right. And just to clarify, item number 3, that there are extraordinary exceptional conditions.
Okay.
You said are not. Is that,
Excuse me.
did you mean to say they are extraordinary?
are.
Okay, good. All right. And then on number 5, that because of these conditions, the applications of the UDO to this particular property would effectively prohibit? You said would not. I just want to clarify. You wanted to say they would?
This particular property would effectively prohibit
Okay.
unnecessary.
Okay, just to clarify. All right. All right, we do have a motion to approve this variance request. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. The motion carries. The variance request is approved. There being no other items on this evening's agenda, are there any announcements from city staff?
No, we're good.
All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Can I ask one question?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir?
So, what do y'all approve? That he can do one, what was that approved?
The variance request was to essentially allow him to subdivide that lot, make 2 lots. So now he can do that. But as city staff has stated, that doesn't mean that there are now 2 lots. He now has to go and get an accurate survey done, come back to the city with that, and the city has to look at that and make sure it complies with the rules that we just set. And then they'll go from there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. So as far as it is now, you still have that property. Well, on your blue line. Yeah. Your small space, yeah. Yes, right. All right, there being no other announcements, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I made the motion to adjourn.
All those in
Second.
favor? Oh, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.